Good afternoon from the UK and good morning from, is it sunny Baltimore over there?
Yes, yes, a little
Good.
cloudy, but
Okay.
sun and
Yeah.
clouds. Yes.
Okay. Well, we've been lucky actually because this is supposed to be our summer in, we can see August, it's September now, September the 1st.
Mhm,
And it's a brilliant day outside. It's lovely. But I went on YouTube before I started doing these videos on
mhm.
how to get the lighting right. I'm still working on
Oh,
that, but it's not too bad. And also, because I have a window in front of me, I have to look down and look up
oh,
at the camera because of the reflection of my glasses.
oh,
And so one of the tips was to buy a clear shower curtain and put it
oh.
up over the window to
Hmm.
avoid too much glare. Anyway, that's not writing related. It's just this related. So we're here to talk about you and your writing, and I'm delighted to be joined by Laura Starsoneck. I hope I've pronounced
You
that
did.
correctly.
Yes.
Who's Assistant Director of the Centre for Women and Children and Helping Up Mission in Baltimore, Maryland, obviously the USA. So we'll be talking about you. I won't. Your biography is going to be with this video. So, but I'd like to start at the beginning. It's the logical place. So how did you come to be a writer? Have you always been a reader? Can you remember the first thing you wrote?
Yeah, I've always been a reader. I honestly, my writing had first started just in personal journaling. Like I really feel a connection with journaling, just helps with emotions and getting things out and getting it off my chest. So I've been doing that since I was a young girl. And really writing really came from my own story. So just in wanting to, as my life had progressed and I was challenged with the things of life of wanting to be married, wanting to have children, and journaling through that process. And as time went on and things in my life had happened, I felt like I had a message to share based on my own personal journey and how it may help others cope with singleness.
Mm,
Maybe there will be people out there that were thinking about, I want to have a baby, but I'm not married. Like how can that happen? And I adopted my
mm,
daughter, and as I adopted my daughter, being single, and as she's gotten older, a lot of people have asked me a lot of questions like, how did you do that being single? How do you go about it? And so I
mm,
really thought that my story could really help impact other people. And so that
mm,
was my real drive, to wanting to get my story out there. um,
mm.
but historically I haven't been a writer. So I've
Right.
been heavy into sports. I love working in nonprofit worlds, and
Mm,
I'm decent at writing, I think. And I just kind of said, you know what, I'm just gonna. Worked with a really great publisher and editor that came to me through a friend. So he was
mm,
willing to give me a chance, and so I kind of put it to paper.
mm. And did it because I started blogging in 2011, and
Mm,
back then and before then,
hmm.
people were using blogs as journals. So
Yes.
was your journaling just for you? I mean, obviously a book has come
Yes.
out of your life and experiences, but was
Yeah.
it initially just for you?
Yeah, it was just for me. So I never really blogged online. I
Mm,
never really even had a desire to do that, to be honest with you. But
mm,
so it was more personal.
mm,
And as I started working on this project and having feedback from a publisher who had published many books, I was starting to be more encouraged with my writing, if that makes sense, because like no one had
it
ever read
does,
it. So
absolutely.
it was like
Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah.
I just kept doing it and kept working with him, and kept challenging me on, I have no idea what you're talking about right here. Let's talk about this angle. And so I learned a lot. I had to dive into a lot of, you say blogs, dive into a lot of writing material, writing blogs, how to really tell your story. So I learned so much just through this process about writing in general.
Mm,
And
mm.
so, yeah, so it was a whole new journey for me.
It's interesting you say that you had to be encouraged because as writers, even though I've got, well, on Amazon it says 130 something titles, but there's
Mm,
various editions and covers and so on. But 39 books I think so far. I still think when I write things, sometimes I'll sit there and my previous dog, my other dog's the other side of the door, and he's pretty good at being quiet. But my previous dog would be in a bed next to me, And every now and then I'd write something I really liked, and I'd sit and clap to myself,
Yeah.
and he'd look at me as if to say, "Oh, she's at it again." But most of the time we write things, and even though, especially, I mean, I write fiction, so it is different for non-fiction, because you're
Sure.
writing what you know, and up to a point, obviously, writing fiction, we base it on things we know, or we've watched on television and think, oh yes, that's a good idea, and we
Sure.
have our own ideas and kind of model it from what we've seen and read and heard. But we are kind of, we write things and we think we get, especially sort of with a saggy middle, we get partway through a project and we think, actually this is a load of rubbish. And I get really sad when especially if somebody said, oh, I had my best day ever, I wrote 12,000 words yesterday, but then when I woke up this morning and reread it, I thought it was a load of rubbish, so I deleted it. And I just think, the next day you might think it's really good again. But we are our own worst critics, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Even for me, when I started in 2005, there are things I would never see light of day.
Sure.
Now I think, well, actually, no, that's not very good. But I'm glad I wrote it, because it's all good practice. It's like learning a language. You have to practice to get better.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. So how did you find the publishing process? Because even though your publisher was effectively a friend of a friend, were there still limitations that they would, because you kind of hope that the publisher knows what they're doing, that from every aspect they would give you the choice of covers that they feel are the best, the best editor for your book, and price point, and so on and so forth. Did you find it very collaborative process from start to finish?
Yeah, I did. So the publisher I found through, so the pastor of my current church, he wrote a book as well. And so after reading his book, I kind of looked, on the back, you kind of look to see, I wonder who published this. And so I did some digging, and then actually, as I started writing and thinking, I think I want to get this out there, I actually sent him an email and just said, who published your book? Do you mind connecting me with who did it? And so within like 15 minutes, I had like an email, like this long email, him introducing me to his name is Doug from Story Publishing. But and so immediately he's like, yeah, I'd like to look at what you have, kind of get me, some bullets of your hopes and just some things. So I had already had sort of chapters laid out, kind of, sort of, and a title, kind of, sort of. So, and
I like that. I like
all
that
those
idea.
kind of, sort of, right? And so, so yeah, I sent it to him, and he actually edits as well. So he publishes, edits, and then he has someone who works alongside him for cover and design and all of that. So it was really like a one package deal. And it made sense. And I didn't really know price point. I didn't understand price point. I had no idea how much this would cost or anything. But at that point, I had been saving money, up to a certain amount to kind of be like, I really think I want to invest in this. And he really helped me believe that it was worth investing in, based on what I wanted to share. And so yeah, it kind of went from there. And that started kind of the 2-year journey of continuing to pour through and write. So it was really a blessing, because I've heard so many things of like, you publish here, you edit there, the cover's over here or whatever. And so, but it was all one package. And I actually designed the cover myself through Canva. I kind of messed with some things. And I was like, well, here's like 4 ideas I have. And then we worked with the artist to kind of tone it down a little bit, but I gave like some general ideas based on just some stuff I was messing around with. But so yeah, it was a very seamless process, and he's actually ended up being a friend of mine now. So as I work on my next project, which I have to talk about at the end, but yeah, so it was a seamless process as far as that's concerned, which is a blessing from what I've heard and read. So
and do you have a sort of set routine of when you write, or is when inspiration grabs you, or when you think of, oh yes, actually this would make a good idea for the next project?
Yeah, so for me, my writing was always at night. And sometimes when I tell people that, they're like, how do you write at night, going through the whole day and all of that. But for me, my quiet hours are at nighttime. I get up really early. My daughter goes to bed around 8, well, depending on how old she was at the time, but like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I would spend for like a couple years, I would just spend like a good hour put her to bed, write, and be done by 9:30. And I would just set like a timeline, and so I could write a little bit. And even if I didn't write and just kind of looked at stuff or just kind of like, stare at the screen, like I would just have that time. That's the time for me to really focus. And so that nighttime, most of the time, is pretty good for me. I am an early morning person, so I can't stay up late and write. But I just have to have little pockets a day in each day to kind of do that. And evening was the best for me. So yeah.
So were you given, you said that you've designed your own cover, you were given an editor to work with?
Yes. Yeah. And so so the person that helped design the cover was someone that the publisher editor, Doug, had. So like I never talked to him. It was more like it came right through the publisher. So I would send the publisher / editor the information, and then he would kind of send it to his guy. So I never really had to contact with that person. But it was all kind of wrapped into one. So.
And there's nothing quite like, they sent you a proof copy? Did they, before you saw the real?
Yes. Yeah.
And you open the pack and hold your second baby. Yes. After your first one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was really crazy. Yeah.
How old is your daughter if you don't mind?
Right now, she's she'll be 6 in 2 weeks.
Oh, lovely. How old was she when you adopted her?
She was I was there at her birth in the hospital.
Wow.
And then I brought her home because of state regulations with birth parents. She went into this like foster placement within the agency I worked with for 30 days. And so I saw her once a week for a month, and then brought her home in October of 2018.
Yeah. That must have been tough, only seeing her.
Yeah.
Wow, what an experience.
Yeah, it really was.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Wow. Yeah.
Yep. So will you write about being a mother, do you think?
Do I or will I?
Well, about because obviously we're going to talk about your book in more detail another time. Sure. But do you find having adopted your daughter that it gives you so much content to write about?
Yeah, absolutely. And part of my journey with adopting her is in this book. But I think, absolutely. And I think not just being a mother, but also the hope. And if you can't, for whatever reason, have a baby, or you're single or what have you, I think my journey in getting her encourages me to help encourage other people. And so I'm actually on my journey now. I've been waiting almost 2 years for my second baby. So I'll be adopting another one, hopefully in the next calendar year.
Okay.
So so it just giving hope to if you don't feel like it's possible, like what my journey has been that really has helped make it possible. Yeah.
Will that be a boy or a girl? Do you know? Or
either one? Not sure. Don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
No.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll see.
As long as they're happy and healthy.
That's right.
That's all that any parent wants.
That's right. Yeah. Yep. So
are you involved in the marketing of your book? I mean, the fact that you have a publisher.
So to be honest with you, I do it myself right now. I actually have been trying to save some money to really hopefully have someone help me to invest in that. Not really sure where to start. But it's been a year since this came out. And so I just kind of do my own stuff when I can, like posting about people that review on Amazon, trying to do like gift cards for, if I can get 3 reviews on Amazon this month, I'll do a drawing or something. So just little things, but I'm looking to really have someone help me now that it's been out a year, because I don't have the time to really focus on it at all. And especially when I want to do a different project I've been working on. So I feel like I really need someone to kind of come behind and really help do it. So I'm in the process of looking into that, just not really sure where to start. So but
it is a minefield. I have a nerdy Excel spreadsheet of Facebook book groups, and I post in them while I'm awake. I'm posting them about once an hour, once every 2 hours.
Wow.
And without any sort of likes or comments, you kind of think that it goes into a bit of a black hole. But you have to keep going, because you never know who's out there. And I think, I don't know whether it's easier or not really with fiction versus non-fiction, because I'm sure there'll be groups on Facebook for your area of your book that you join and chat with other people, and really it's sort of, this is what the whole point of me setting up these spotlights is, for people to get to know you, and then get to know your book through you, because it really, social media is by definition, is social, or it used to be.
Right.
That was the intention, that everybody's lovely and sociable, and we find new friends, new online friends this way. And by finding out about that person, you then become interested in what they're doing and their book, and then hopefully go and buy the book. And thereafter, so it is a wonderful tool, but there's so many people saying, I have a book out, and when you have your book out, you think, great, everybody's going to go along and buy it, but it's the hardest thing, isn't it, knowing getting people to know that it's there. But back in the day, I'm always pointing the wrong direction because I'm back to front. My dog detective book, that one, I did a tour for it, O. Henry, and I've done tours for the other ones, but that was the latest one I did. And which I think, I don't know whether it's easier being fiction, because I have a blog tour lady who's actually on net. Well, she's going to be my blog tour lady. The previous one doesn't do it anymore. But Donna, who's coming up after you, she does blog tours. And I don't know whether she only does it for fiction, but I would imagine there are people who do blog tours. So they get bloggers who review, so they send the free PDF or a Word document to the bloggers, and then they read it and give a review on their blog. And then they've got loads of followings. And the one that's further up, up there, serial data, I've mentioned this before and once or twice in spotlights, that was my hybrid book. So I self-published it, and then it was traditionally republished as traditional published, and then when it came out, and I stopped reading my reviews. The first, I may have more, but the first 1-star review I had for it said, I don't normally leave reviews for books, but this one was so bad that I felt I had to, which made me laugh, actually. I read it for going to bed, and I didn't lose a wink of sleep. I thought it was hilarious. But that went on, the publisher organised a blog tour for that, and it was one of the bloggers' favourite books of the year. If you imagine how many books bloggers read, so it's a wonderful option. So if you find non-fiction blog tours, that is a good way of, and it probably cost about $40, $50, $60 to do. And they'll send it out, and I think they have levels. So if you want a 3-day, that's one price. A 5-day, that's another price, and 7-day, that's another price. And then they have all these contacts and send it out. So that's an option. So a blog tour is an option. But people you're chatting to already, if you mention that to them, they may know of somebody who does it. So that's a way to start, a fairly inexpensive way to start. And then also you've got the quotes. If you've got the reviews published, you can then pull out phrases from the blog tours and quote them as having said it. And also Amazon reviews. Do a little, because you're familiar with Canva. Do a little poster with the reviews on it, with snippets on it.
Absolutely.
That's another option. But it's hard work.
It is.
So,
it is.
So having one child with another one fairly imminent, and your book baby, full of admiration.
Thank you. And I've been really just trying to, and I think what's really been great is after it was published about 8 or 9 months, I had people asking me, hey, can you come talk? So I'm involved in an adoption and foster care support group. So I've gone there and spoken, and because I love talking in front of people. And so that's not an issue for me. And I'm trying to even apply to do different conferences in this area or up the Northeast, that like there's a national conference for women who've adopted. So like I went on there and just said, I would love to lead a work group. Right. And so I think there's different ways to get involved. And so I've been just trying to find those little pockets, but then like the little pockets then turned into a big pocket. So I spoke one place and then they're like, hey, can you come over here and do that? And so I'd rather be out talking about it. And so that's what's hard for me about like social media and things, because I rather like talk. And so that's why when this opportunity,
I love live events. I've got one coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I just love that.
Fabulous. And the thing is, you know, because I don't mention this, and I usually mention it like this: 50 Shades of Grey. That got as big as it did because it's I've never read them, so it's not fair of me to say how bad they are. But it's not great writing. That's fairly I say well known, but again, not my personal experience. But it got as big as it did because of word of mouth, because of reviews. So you never know. You know, the next person you might be chatting to, oh, that's just the thing I'm looking for.
Sure.
So you never know. And if you enjoy it, which you clearly do, then we just keep going, don't we?
Yep. Just keep going.
Yes.
Yep.
So keeping going. You mentioned a next project. What are you working on next?
So I'm actually trying to dive into the world of children's books. And so sticking with the theme of adoption, I'm in the process of writing an adoption book for children. So kind of keeping with the same theme, but it's kind of an ocean theme. And like the story of it's something to do with a wave in the ocean, but I'm kind of halfway done as far as like just plotting out the story, but really want to been diving into are there books, and I know there are, for children kind of in that 5 to 10-year-old range, that can help kids process being adopted, and then it's okay, and that all families are different and all of that. So I'm kind of want to enter in that realm a little bit. The publisher who did my book, my current book, he doesn't dive into the children's book realm, but his wife does. And so here comes my little
hello.
Say hi.
Hi. Oh, hello.
This is Adalynn.
Hello.
Say hi.
Oh, she's lovely. Oh, hi. Oh, because we're interrupting your Sunday morning.
Oh, you're hungry. Okay, weird. Okay. I'll come down to sleep.
We'll be 2 minutes.
All right, 2 more minutes. Okay,
Bless her.
So so I'm trying to dive into that, and so I know. 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, something that grabs kids. So we'll see. I want to keep it on the same theme of my title, like like this one's called Single-Handedly Blessed. That one will be called like Single-Handedly Chosen, or something like that. The story of such and such. And so anyway, so I'm still messing with it, but it's something I'm working on kind of slowly, but hopefully sometime in 2025. We'll see.
It sounds great.
We'll see. Yes.
Oh, well, we'll come back in 2020. We'll have a third session in 2025 for that one.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
So, well, I shall let you go and feed your mini army.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. No, it's been an absolute pleasure. Have a lovely Sunday.
Okay, you as well. Thank you so much.
Take care. Thank you.
Right, bye-bye.
Bye.